Welcome back to Talk Tickers, where we like to break down the earnings calls that really matter.
The ones that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And today we're going to tap on Apple's first quarter 2025 report.
It's a big one.
It is. Buckle up, because this one's got some surprises.
Definitely some things to unpack.
Yeah. So on the surface, it looks like a pretty solid quarter, right?
Yeah, you see the numbers. $124.3 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
Up 4% year over year.
Solid.
Earnings per share hit a record high at $2.40.
But there are some deeper trends that we need to tease out a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. There are some things that are really worth taking a closer look at.
Yeah. So first off, iPhones are still a huge driver, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially in those emerging markets.
Right.
But what really caught my eye was all this buzz around Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
Is this finally the moment that AI goes mainstream?
It really seems that way. And I think what's interesting is not just the strong iPhone 16 sales, which are outpacing even the iPhone 15.
Really?
Yeah, at the same point in its release cycle.
Wow.
But it's the fact that people are really using these AI features.
Not just a gimmick.
It's not just a gimmick, yeah.
Right. Like Tim Cook even said he can't imagine going back to life before email summarization.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like if the CEO is hooked, that says something, right?
Right. It shows the power of AI to genuinely enhance productivity.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And this is something we are seeing across various industries, right?
All right. Yeah.
But Apple, I think, is really uniquely positioned to capitalize on it.
Because they've got the hardware and the software.
Yeah, they control both the hardware and the software, which allows for that really tight integration.
And smoother user experience.
Absolutely.
And, they're clearly leveraging that advantage.
Yeah.
Speaking of leverage, Apple seems to be having a lot of success in these emerging markets.
Yeah.
Particularly India, right?
Huge quarter in India.
Record-breaking quarter. New stores opening.
Right.
iPhone is becoming the top-selling smartphone.
Yeah.
It's really taken off there.
It is. And I think it's important to understand why India is such a critical market for Apple.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. So, their smartphone market is massive. But Apple currently has a relatively small share.
Cool.
So the growth potential is enormous.
Wow.
This isn't just about selling more iPhones today.
It's about tomorrow.
It's about securing a foothold in a market that will be crucial for their long-term success.
It's a smart strategic move.
It is.
Especially considering the challenges they're facing in China, right?
Yeah.
Their revenue in Greater China was down 11% year over year.
Yeah, and there are a few factors contributing to that.
Yeah.
Some of it is due to inventory adjustments.
Okay.
Where retailers are working through existing stock before ordering more.
Makes sense.
Then you have this intense competition from these local brands. And of course, Apple Intelligence hasn't been rolled out in China yet.
Oh, that's true.
So that's a big piece that's missing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's also this fiscal stimulus program in China.
Yeah.
That's aimed at boosting sales of, electronics like smartphones and PCs.
Right.
Could that be a game changer for Apple?
Potentially. Basically what the Chinese government is doing is they're offering incentives to encourage people to buy new devices.
Okay.
And the program targets a range of products, including smartphones, tablets, PCs.
So a wide swath.
Yeah. And, it's still early days, but if this stimulus is successful, it could translate into a significant bump in sales for Apple in the coming quarters.
So we've got iPhones soaring in some markets.
Yeah.
Facing challenges in others. And this whole intriguing wild card of Apple Intelligence.
Right.
But let's not forget about, the real engine that keeps Apple humming.
Yeah.
Services.
It's huge.
Your services business.
Yeah, this was another standout in the earnings call. Services revenue hit a record high of $26.3 billion, up 14% year over year.
Incredible.
And what's impressive here is that the growth is broad-based, meaning it's not just one product or region driving the numbers.
It's like their services ecosystem has become this unstoppable force.
Yeah, good way to put it. They have over 1 billion paid subscriptions across their various platforms.
Wow.
And customer engagement is at an all-time high.
It's amazing.
Yeah, so this recurring revenue stream is incredibly valuable for Apple.
Why is that?
Because it provides stability and predictability, right? In a market that's often quite volatile. So it's a
Yes.
really good thing for them.
It's like the foundation upon which they can build and innovate.
Exactly, yeah.
And speaking of innovation, Tim Cook, hinted at some interesting things
Yeah.
when he talked about the future of the iPhone.
No, it's like, what is he talking about?
He said there's a lot more to come in terms of new features and designs.
A lot more to come. What does that even mean?
I know, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's hard to say for sure,
Yep.
but if you look at Cook's past statements and Apple's history of innovation,
Right.
it wouldn't be surprising to see some truly radical changes to the iPhone form factor.
Like what?
Perhaps they're working on something completely new,
Oh.
something that blurs the lines between a phone and other devices.
A hybrid device.
Maybe, yeah,
That would certainly shake things up.
it would.
All right, so before we go any further down that rabbit hole, I want to hear what stood out to you most from these results.
You know, I think what I find most fascinating is this potential interplay between Apple Intelligence and these new form factors that Cook hinted at.
Okay.
What if Apple is designing devices specifically to showcase the power of its AI capabilities?
That's a really interesting thought.
Right. Think about it. What if we are on the cusp of a new era where our devices aren't just tools, but intelligent partners
Whoa.
that adapt to our needs and anticipate our actions?
Like that movie.
Wow.
Okay, that's a whole other level of personalized computing.
It is.
All right, listeners, we're going to let that idea simmer for a minute.
Let that sink in.
While we take a quick break, when we come back, we'll be diving into our This Is Not Financial Advices segment,
My favorite part.
where we cook up an outrageous but plausible trade idea based on all this juicy Apple intel. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Talk Tickers. It's time for our favorite segment.
I know, I love this part.
The one where we,
Throw all caution to the wind.
Exactly.
Let our imaginations run wild.
Yeah, I'm talking about our This Is Not Financial Advices segment.
So much fun.
Remember, folks, this is all for entertainment purposes only.
Hypothetical.
Yeah, don't base any actual investment decisions on this.
No.
We're just having a bit of fun exploring possibilities.
Yeah, just kind of connecting the dots, sparking some ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
So, given everything we've discussed about Apple, the emerging markets push, the early success of Apple Intelligence, those hints of radical iPhone designs, what is our outrageous trade idea?
Okay, so how about this? We bet on a convergence of Apple's hardware and software ambitions.
Ooh, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So imagine Apple, emboldened by the success of Apple Intelligence, decides to double down on its AI capabilities.
They're already designing their own chips. What if they take it a step further?
What if they partner with a leading AI chip manufacturer,
Okay, now we're talking.
gaining access to even more advanced technology?
But what's the play here? How do we turn this into an actual trade?
We buy call options on both Apple and the AI chip manufacturer.
Betting that this partnership will just send both stocks soaring.
Exactly. It's a leveraged play on the combined power of hardware and software.
A bet that this alliance will create something truly groundbreaking.
It's high risk, high reward.
But with Apple's track record, I mean, you really can't rule anything out. They've disrupted industries before.
Yeah, they have.
What if this partnership leads to a whole new category of AI-powered devices?
Imagine a dedicated Apple Intelligence device, something that integrates seamlessly with all your other Apple products.
Providing on-demand access to, like, the full power of AI.
Yeah, think about it. It'd be like having a personal assistant, a research librarian, a creative collaborator, all rolled into one.
And if Apple nails the execution, which, let's be honest, they often do,
They do.
the market potential is enormous.
You're huge.
So to recap our outrageous but not entirely implausible trade idea, we are buying call options on both Apple and a leading AI chip manufacturer,
That's right.
betting on this strategic partnership that could lead to, the next era of AI-powered devices.
And remember, this is hypothetical.
Of course.
Do your own research, consider the risks, and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.
Always sound advice, but sometimes it's fun to dream big.
It is. And you know what? Maybe one of these wild ideas will actually come true.
Stranger things have happened in the world of tech.
Apple has a knack for surprising us.
That's for sure.
On-
Right. That wraps up our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Back to reality.
Let's bring it back down to earth. Recap what we learned from Apple's Q1 2025 earnings call.
Overall, Apple delivered solid results.
Yeah.
Even with some of those challenges in certain markets like China,
Right?
that emerging market story is extremely compelling, particularly in India.
Apple Intelligence is showing real promise.
Yeah.
And Cook's hints about those future iPhone innovations, I mean, wow, really sparked our imaginations.
And we can't forget about that services business, which continues to deliver that consistent growth and stability.
So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into Apple's Q1 2025 earnings call.
That's a wrap.
We hope you found it insightful, entertaining, and maybe even a little inspiring.
Always remember, the world of finance is full of possibilities.
Stay curious, stay informed,
And never stop exploring.
and be sure to join us next time for another earnings call breakdown. Until then, happy investing. Before we sign off, I kind of want to leave you with something to ponder.
Oh, I always love a good thought experiment.
Yeah. So, we've talked a lot about, Apple's potential in these emerging markets, the whole power of Apple intelligence, and those hints of these new hardware designs coming down the line.
We've got a lot of moving pieces here, all with the potential to really reshape the landscape.
What if we zoom out even further? What does all of this mean for Apple's long-term strategy?
Well, I think it suggests a shift, maybe from being primarily a hardware company to something more like an ecosystem provider.
So instead of just selling iPhones and Macs and AirPods,
Yeah.
they're building a comprehensive platform that just integrates all of this stuff.
Exactly. Hardware, software, services, all working together seamlessly.
And it's powered by AI and fueled by this growing base of loyal subscribers.
And those subscribers are increasingly global, which gives Apple incredible leverage.
Because they can dictate terms, set trends.
Yeah, and ultimately shape the future of how we interact with technology.
It's a bold vision and one that's clearly taking shape.
But it raises some interesting questions.
Like what?
Well, how will Apple navigate the regulatory landscape as they become even more dominant? How will they balance the need for innovation with their desire to maintain control over the ecosystem?
It's a tightrope walk.
It is.
These are questions for another deep dive.
Yeah, another day.
But I think for now, it's safe to say that Apple is entering a new chapter.
For sure.
One that could be even more transformative than the last.
And that's what keeps it interesting, right?
Absolutely. I mean, they never cease to amaze, frustrate, and aspire all at the same time.
Well said. I think that's a wrap on our deep dive into Apple's Q1 2025 earnings call.
We hope you enjoyed the ride.
As always, do your own research.
Stay curious.
Stay informed.
And we'll see you next time for another earnings call breakdown. Until then, happy investing.